tell me about how you got into gaming, how you got into Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, well, I guess I was thinking about this today. I think I'm probably what you would call the second wave, because I was watching your videos, so I got an idea of roughly like when you came in. I was watching some other people, and so I had certainly heard about it, but I was born in 1968, so when the Dungeons and Dragons proper came out, I was 6 years old. So that was not one of my on my Christmas list, but just my dad turned me on to like the genre, and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. I think he gave me The Hobbit to read when I was 5 years old and whatnot. But I'd heard about it, and I don't know if I heard about it through like through the media, like what the hell is this crazy thing that the kids are doing in colleges. I remember having some newspaper articles I read thinking, wow, this is really cool. And then I think it probably started to see some advertisements in the magazines, and this is way before Mentor Basic era, like in 1983. So I picked up. I knew I had some friends that played, and so I remember, I'm pretty sure I asked my parents to get me, what turned out to be the 1981 Moldvay, BX Basic set then. So I started playing in 1981, and I think I'd said before that I'd never actually seen some of the other stuff prior to that, but that's not true. I was thinking about it, and we didn't have a game store, it really didn't exist yet then, at least in my neck of the woods. So we had this music shop that had some D&D stuff, and they had these old copies of like Eldritch Wizardry that I think they'd never sold because it looked too bizarre, and all the what do you call it, the original Holmes Basic and stuff. But I started playing in 1981, and played Basic for a while, and then they had all the 3 books, so I started playing Advanced relatively early.
So anyway,
yeah,
I started in a very weird way. I was in the service. I was over in Germany, and they think it was Sergeant Linus. He said he had brigade staff duty, whatever it is. So you have to go. He was over at the brigade, and which the brigade offices, and had to deal with any of the phone calls. So he has to be up all night.
All right.
And he invited me and 2 other guys, and he says, "Come on over and play and game." And we had played a bunch of board games, a bunch of war games, Avalon Hill and things like that. And he says, "Come on over and play Dungeons and Dragons." We thought, okay, sounds interesting. So we go over there, and we got off at 5, and we went over there, and then we ate dinner, went to the mess hall, and then came back, and we started, I guess, about 6 or maybe 7, and at 8 that morning is when we left. It was what was it? Was it Reveille? Yeah, it was 8. 8 was, I think, when was a holiday. It was a 3-day weekend, and they had to because they had to put up the big flag. The military has different size flags depending upon what day. And I remember them saying, "Oh, you've got to put up that one. It's the really, really big flag that they had to put up." And but that was early in the. I had to put it. So we gamed all night, and then that he had. I guess it was probably first printing edition of Dungeons and Dragons, but we were in Germany, so there were no toy stores, there were nothing that had it, and we were ordering. So we went down and gathered up all the German 10 Pfennig with 10 penny coins that we could, because there was a copy machine.
Oh,
Went down to the center of town and copied the books, and we immediately ordered them on, but it takes a while for, mail order. And so we had copies of the books, and we're reading through them, and it was, but when we started gaming, we were gaming every night. We would get off work at 5, and normally by 5:30, maybe by 6, we would start gaming and game until about 10, and then go to bed and do it every night. And then on Friday night, we'd game clear through until Sunday about noon, because then we have to come back and clean up the barracks. And so we were doing a lot. I did a lot of gaming, an awful lot of gaming, but it was really different because we were so isolated. We had no other, we just had the books and we just gamed, and it was just totally, I subscribed to the Strategic Review, which then became the Dragon and things like that. And that was the only other input we ever had into the game. And so, and we had a bunch of board gamers who were playing board games, and they would play some massive, I don't know if you've ever heard of Panzer Panzer Blitz?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, so what happened was Panzer Leader, you had three boards that could be rearranged. I think you'd normally, a normal game, you had 3 boards out there and you played with a number of units. And the one lieutenant, Roy Mengot, he'd worked out the rules for a 4-sided game where you had the Americans, the British, the Germans, and the Russians all fighting against each other. And what happened, instead of just 3 boards, it was 21 boards. It covered half of a ping pong table. And they worked it out. It was 24 moves. Each move was 1 hour long.
Oh.
And they played for 24 hours straight. It was just it, and that was, I tried that once and was just, I am not that good at that. But it was yeah, so we did a lot. There was a lot of gaming going on, and all different kinds of stuff. I guess that was at the heyday of like Avalon Hill and all that. And so we did a lot of gaming, and I did a lot of dungeon mastering, a lot of D&D, and so that was how I got wrapped up in it. And it was just because I guess it was because we're all military guys, when we started. So characters die. Oh, okay, roll up another one. Who cares? I mean, it's, you're used to war games and you're military guys. So you have a much more brutal aspect. And I was thinking about it today. I mean, I have done some terrible things to characters. I don't know if you've seen some of my videos where I talk about that.
Oh yeah, no, I saw the. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the one where they materialized in the vat of acid. That was good.
Oh no, okay, no, that's minor. That's just killing them.
Right.
No, it was the one the one I'm infamous for was the woman was playing the tiefling, and so what happens is that they had, right around this time, they'd went in various things, and she decided to attack a guard as one of the Marzar in the world of Tiglath. So she kills her. This is a death sentence. Period. Death sentence. So they grab her and they're going to execute her, and I decide, oh well, I really hate to lose the character, but that's okay. So I go to the character who she kicked. He goes, I ain't never had no tiefling. So what happens anyway? They cut off the tiefling's tail. And because that was getting in the way, and anyway, so he has his way with the tiefling, and they decide to, and anyway, then they're going to execute her after that.
Of course.
But the rest of the party figures out, and they set a fire and distract people, and so they let her go. But I had ran the other campaign where everyone in the party was raped.
Oh yeah, no, I've been there for those two. And that's all. Like, I guess it's like the guys you're playing with.
Well, yeah, but these are a lot of this has been on. I found that it's been much easier online. I had I find, and I've got lazy. I have a comfortable chair. I have 3 monitors, so I have all my stuff up on the screen, and I can have one monitor I can share with, and it's much easier than tracking to pack up everything and take it someplace and to game or so on. But it's I really get I like to do the online, so that's how I started doing the YouTube. It was most of my earliest videos are just the first one wasn't, but the rest of them were just recording the games through Google Hangouts.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
something I still need to do more of. That's because I met a bunch of people online that I'd love to game with.
yeah.
Because it's tough to find people that have exactly your sensibilities.
Well, yeah, it is, and trying to find somebody, and yeah, I know I've offended a few people, but hey, I'm just who. That's just the way I am. I don't pull any punches when the party. I was thinking about thinking about doing a video about running away. What was it that we were both talking about? What was it? PBJ was I could never pronounce his name. That you
Oh,
did it.
DeVay. I know DeVay Brian. Yeah, DBJ.
Yeah, DBJ, and
Yeah.
he was talking about parties never running away.
Oh,
And
yeah.
actually, that's the reason why I had in the Tiglath campaign, which I'd been running. The one character who tended to survive when everybody else died was he would run away.
Oh, yeah. I got really good at that over time.
Because a lot of and that's where I say that they're like, it's like a superhero game because they don't think they're invulnerable, that nobody will kill them.
Right.
And I was just actually looking at the one where I talked about the one character where I captured the entire party, and the party was captured by a group of cannibals, and they rolled a die, and they picked which party member was going to be eaten.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
And they ate them, and then what happened was they gave them a challenge to see if they could survive something, and the one character survived, and so they tied him down and tattooed him from head to toe.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I've certainly, I've seen and done it all as far as that sort of brutality is concerned, or whatever. I have, I found over time, like I have my YouTube persona, and then I have the gaming persona, like when I'm actually playing with people, and it depends on who the people are too. But yeah, I've certainly done a lot of that stuff, So I don't know. Character death never really bugged me that much. Just sometimes it's a bummer, like I can't believe that guy bought it, but
Well, I was gaming with some other people before I'd taken a hiatus for about, how long has it been? I'm going on, well, I guess it would be about past 18 months. I haven't been doing much. I've been getting back into it. But that was, 2015 was truly awful. And anyway, so where was I going with that?
People dying.
Yeah, well, no. Oh, the characters. Oh, I just started the one adventure back up, and there were some players. So there was another old. He was about my age, and he also was did. We were doing. He wanted to play an assassin, and yeah, that was nasty. Anyway. But we had a couple of people who came into the party. They had the party split. So it wasn't a total party kill, but the one half of the party, a couple of players had a pretty good idea if they did this would kill everybody.
Right.
And they did it anyway, including killing their own characters and everybody there. But wasn't a total party kill because the other half of the party was elsewhere.
Good for them. Yeah, I think over time my relationship to characters and character death evolved, because in the beginning, like you said, I don't think you said it tonight, today, but like you just play these guys and they were pretty much pawns. You picked out a nifty name maybe, and sometimes it was Gork 1 and Gork 2, or Son of Gork. But and I remember, like, of course sometimes you couldn't get enough people to play, so you'd play like 2 or 3 characters,
Yes.
And or play the henchman and all that kind of stuff. And this guy dies. Okay, we'll start playing the henchman. Because we're not going to find a guy in the next room. That's, and over time, like you started, like, at least for me, like you started like, well, I kind of like this guy, or like or personality would just kind of develop despite like what you were doing. You're like, oh, well, this guy's impulsive, or this guy's kind of a coward. The guy with the Nikes that lives a long time. Those are the characters that live. But,
yeah, the ones that live. Yeah,
and they start playing tactically, and so I'm still a pretty zen about character death. Like sometimes, like, oh crap, like I had, wizards buy. I've talked about this a lot, but I have a wizard buy it in like 1 or 2 rounds in a Lamentations of the Flame Princess game, and it was like he was up to 7th level, and that really is like that's BX D&D when it comes right down to it. It's got a few tweaks, but that's what it is. And it was. We were in the Temple of Elemental Evil. We didn't do modules in that game, but we did that one module, which was we did mass combat. We attacked it with an army, and then we in one room we wasted 1 Earth Elemental, as 1 left, and party was just about dead. I run in for like 1 round because I've blown all my spells, and I've got this magic staff, and it can only be hit by magic weapons. Party fighter's almost dead. I'm like, well, either I kill it now, or I run, or the whole party dies. So I figured, well, what the heck, 1 round, and the DM rolls randomly, and rolls me, and then rolls damage, and it was like goes up all 8s. That was it, done. But that was a bummer. But oh well, I'd play that character for quite some time. But it was, and like he had a personality. Like I had big plans for him. He was not a nice guy, but it wasn't the end of the world. I didn't meet those people that they wrote the Dark Dungeons articles about, or whatever. You know what I mean? That old tract from the 70s or whatever. But yeah, I understand we got into our characters, but it was okay if they died, and we understood too that they were fragile. Like I don't care that if you're a 7th level fighter, you were pretty darn fragile.
Well, yeah, and it's like I started with the OD&D where you're a magic user rolled a D4, and so you had a 25% chance of just having 1 hit point.
Oh yeah.
And so you got 1 hit point, you get hit, you die.
Right.
And it's just oh man, what was it? Yeah, it's just okay, so yeah. So anyway, sorry.
Technology is awesome.
Yeah, and it's just the timing is a little insane. So come on. Can I mute this thing?
Pretty sure.
Anyway, so
you don't know how many videos I've had to recut because of like right in the middle of it. I leave my phone on, and somebody calls me. It's pretty awesome.
Okay. Just speed up the responses.
Yeah, Magic just bought it a lot.
Okay.
I don't think that I found a fundamental difference between the classes in the older game in terms of like how often they bought it, just because the fighter would get closer to the action, and so he had more hit points, better armor class, but he was a guy getting hit all the time. So I don't know. I found them buying it just as often as the Magic users did.
You can come down. All right. So
yeah.
All right, sorry, just distractions, and I'm on this thing with 4 people texting each other, and
Yeah.
I want to be off of that right now, and it just I'm sorry, it was just not expect, and I put it on mute, and it won't go on. Let me try one more time. I hate this phone. There we go. Maybe it'll go on mute now. Anyway, so so it's just differences in playing with the, killing the characters, things like that, and it's just that. So, what do you think about? I don't know if you heard that they announced, I guess yesterday, that it's another book coming out, which is all the 7 dungeons. I think it's 7 or 5 or 7 dungeons that they're putting together. Did you hear about that?
No, who's putting that one out?
What was it? Wizards of the Coast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A new, let's see, D&D. Where was it? See if I can find it, because it was the new book. Where was that? So they were just announced. Come on. Tales from the Yawning Portal. And let me see if I can screen share. So that's Tales from the Yawning Portal. Just was announced.
Huh.
And I just read that. So this is the official product page. And what they've got here, the following adventures. Against the Giants. So there's this one, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, that one was. I think that it was announced. It was announced, I believe, yesterday, and it won't be out till April. But that's the new one. So I was wondering if you'd heard about that one, because I haven't bought, what is it, YOLO's guide yet or whatever.
Vola's Guide. Yeah, no, I haven't. I hadn't heard of that. I know they released a lot of the old stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah,
I can't find all my old modules to save my life.
I didn't. I have a few, but I don't have that many modules that I bought.
Yeah.
I tended to make. I started off early making my own, and then never got into dealing with the modules and so on. So it was just always doing it myself, or playing in somebody else's adventures, or things like that. And it was just never got into many of the modules. But I'm thinking about picking this one up just to see what some of them are like. But it's because I watched, what was it, Nerdarchy talking about what they expected they would do, and they released that was what they expected Wizard of the Coast to do in 2017, and they didn't think they would release any modules or anything like that at all. They were expecting to do other things.
Huh.
And then this comes out right after they said what they thought they were going to do. Sort of hilarious.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I haven't bought like actual, D&D, like the newer D&D products in a long time. It's funny because I had this big hiatus of gaming right in the middle of it, because I started playing 83. And then, like, by 1990, I was married. I had kids, by 92, and like life gets crazy at that point. And of course, when you get married and have kids, your friends are all different. You don't have your old friends anymore. You have the ones that have kids and they're married. Just what happens, because who else is going to walk with you? You got a stroller, so it just happens that way. And so, like, I had this big long hiatus where I just didn't play. So I knew second edition came out, but I was like, thought, why should I buy that? Because I heard it was close. The same. And so, like, I was unaware of like all the stuff that happened. So when I started playing again, in this century, I played with my friends, and so, like, by that time they were playing Pathfinder. So it was arguably third edition, and fourth edition was coming out, and so, like, I entered back and like had to play catch up. Like, what the heck's going on with the hobby? And it was pretty interesting. So I got introduced to all the various camps, and found out what I liked and what I didn't like. And if anything, I found that I gravitated, being like really firmly in the first edition camp. Like, I like that. Over time, I actually kind of gravitated back towards like basic. Like, oh no, I think I like BX better.
Yeah.
But I think like, I mean, I'd heard for a long time that fifth edition, which I haven't bought, but I've looked at. It was this attempt to kind of synthesize, or like kind of get everybody to sing, hold hands and say Kumbaya. I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I have DM'd every edition. I played original, and then first, and then second. I played third. I never, because I've got a copy of the third edition, but there was the 3.5.
Yeah.
I don't have a copy of that. I think I've played it, but I didn't. But the difference between 3 and 3.5 was minor. There were some changes, but they weren't as big as the other changes. Then I played, when I got back doing it online, I took a long hiatus. I did fourth and hated it. Right. I hate fourth edition. Oh, I hate fourth edition. And then I picked up fifth, and I did some. I did I guess 2 years with fourth, and then I did about a year with fifth, and then yeah, let's see yeah. Has Fifth been out that long? How long has Fifth been out?
Yeah, a couple of years at least, you know.
It's been about 3 years, yeah, because then it was like I said, 2015 was in January of 2015, my wife was diagnosed with cancer, and then in July of 2015, unrelated, they think they cured her of that, but unrelated to that, she passed away. And then in December of 2015, I was diagnosed with cancer. And so then I'm going on 1 year since I got out of the hospital.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I went through 6 months of chemo and things like that. So, but so I had various things that caused me to stop gaming for a while.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's stuff. Yeah, I like literally vanished again in 2012. I had some stuff going on as well, so I kind of came
Yeah,
back.
yeah, and
Yeah,
so,
I know how that goes.
yeah, and so I'm just getting back. I started to get back to doing my YouTube, and I want to get back into doing some gaming. And I've been working on some plans, and I've been debating it, and now I'm thinking more, and maybe I'm overthinking things. And it was just work was just so intense. I would just oh god, work was just really, which was good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because it got me because I had to keep going, and I really I love what I do, but it's just I do love gaming more.
Yeah, it's a matter of fitting it all in. That can be a challenge. That can be a challenge.
So it's yeah, just trying to fit through all the time for gaming and for everything else, and so it's just been an interesting period of time, and I'm trying to get through with some of the videos and see what other people are doing out there. So what are your plans for this year?
Oh well, I got a bunch actually. I really got into over the retro clones, and there's some not so good ones, but there's some really good ones out there. And so I'm a big fan of Lamentations of the Flame Princess. I want to run another campaign of that. And then I'm not sure, I might run a campaign of Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea, which I did a review. I met Jeff Talanian, who's like a nice guy, just like, really nice. But that's very clean. It's very cleaned up first edition. Like I didn't think I want to play anything like that again, but and it has a really good shtick to it, But other than that, like I got turned on to the Ubiquity system, so I'm really looking for what I would like to play is this game called All for One, which is it's when you did the video of On Guard, it made me smile because it's a Musketeers game, but it's a Musketeers with vampires and werewolves and all this kind of crazy stuff. Yeah, that's awesome.
So I've got this. I've got 2 editions, and actually the thing I haven't really compared page by page, but the thing is the new one, the print is much larger.
That's good. I noticed that in all the retro clones, they've got these giant freaking letters. It's because I'm reading it. they knew already. They knew already that I was not going to squint this freaking little teeny text. So
well, I cheat. I have 2 pairs of glasses. These are those are my normal glasses, and then I have my computer glasses, which are designed for the computer screen. So they're as opposed to my bifocals on the other one, but that's
oh yeah, no, I need to get a pair of computer glasses. I need progressives at this point.
Yeah,
but yeah,
so
yeah, that's how it happens. But yeah, I've got that going on because I just figured I'd branch out a little bit because, like, to be honest, like there was a whole bunch of other games that I didn't experience. And it was partly because, I was having fun playing D&D, but then life happened. And so, like, right when games, like, exploded, in the, I guess, the late 80s, but really late 90s, I had kids. Like, other stuff was going on. And so, there were a bunch of other games that just never appealed to me. Like, you'd see the ads in Dragon Magazine or hear about them. Because we really didn't have a game store where I was. There was, like I said, the music store. I think there was a place in Meriden, which wasn't really a game store either. I think it was a head shop. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But like, I bought dice there, and I think I bought a Judges Guild module or something over there. But that was it, So like a lot of the games I heard of, just you couldn't find them. So I wasn't going to go out of my way. But so there's a whole bunch of games that I didn't get to play. So I'm really kind of looking forward to figuring out what systems I like. But I did find out that I don't like super complicated. Like I play Pathfinder, which is 3.5.
Yeah.
But it's a lot.
It's a lot as opposed to and fourth was, and that's the problem I have, is it's like fourth and fifth. Well, there are just so many. It's not simple combat anymore. It's
right.
So many things that they can do, and and it goes back to, I guess, feats were introduced in third. Where that was that where they were introduced?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that's just okay. I can put up with that, but it's just so yeah. It was just trying to work out and figure out how to adapt some of my older things that I've created into the modern games. And sometimes it's easy, and sometimes you just go, oh man, this is so different. And what they've done with some of the creatures, and it's sometimes it takes a little bit of an effort to figure out what to do with them, and then other times you just go, okay, so I'm creating my whole I'll just create a new creature and figure out what its stats are and do that, because I did some work with a couple of creatures that were just so hard to figure out how to convert.
Right. Yeah.
And because I was looking through some of that, and then there were some truly odd creatures, and it was like some people, some of the creatures they didn't bring. Some of the creatures that I liked, they got rid of, like rot grubs. I don't know if
oh my God. Tell me they didn't get rid of ear seekers too.
Oh yes, they're no longer there. That I don't know if you watched the video. I was just looking it up. It was I did the one video about the character who built the rot grub spreader.
Oh no.
Okay, so this guy had a lot of money, and we had rot grubs. So he says, "Okay, I want to go to the blacksmith," and he says, "I don't care how much it costs. I want basically a set of mail, doesn't have to be plate mail or anything, that is rot grub proof, that I can handle rot grubs." And he go, okay, fine, we can do that. Then what he'd seen, this is years ago, where you had the little hand cranked spreader for your fertilizer. He says, I want to build something that you fit on your shoulders with the spreader above your head, and a 50-gallon barrel above filled with rot grubs. And you have this crank that you turn, and it sprays out rot grubs.
Yeah, and that would be unfair for you to do as a DM, but it's okay for him as a player. That's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. It's just so it's fine for him just to go, and he could wade into things, and there were.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was the inventiveness of when you find people who are truly inventive, who can figure out truly strange things to do with the spells in weird ways that it's just that's what makes the game so much fun, is when you find people who are creative and inventive in doing things. So it's not just about killing the average creature, but let's figure out how to do something different.
Yeah, that to me, like it's funny. Like I said a bunch of times that I like playing with people that aren't gamers, like the brand new, because they just think differently. Like they don't think like us yet, and that and I think that's also part of like the I don't want to say older game sensibility, but like maybe like rules lighter, like where you don't have so many, it's not so tactical. And so they they don't think of like, okay, well, this spell does this, or whatever. Yeah, they just kind of wonder like, what could I do here? And they come with some really creative stuff. Or sometimes it's not about spells or about abilities or anything. Once they get the idea that they don't have to look at their character sheet, or sometimes they don't know that they should yet. And they just, once they get the idea, oh, I could say, whatever comes to mind, then they start blowing me away. So usually it's those people that have been playing for like 3 months that they say something. I'm like, are you what? Are you kidding me? And you're like, oh.
I'm not really happy with the rules lawyers, but once in a while you can. I was thinking about this one today. So it was in the world of Tiglath. So they're one character. They know he's going to have a meeting with a member, a shadowy figure, shall we say. He's going to have a meeting with a shadowy figure. Anyway, who is associated with government and power anyway. So they go into so their figure, the party is relatively high level, and they think, oh, well, what we're going to do is we're going to probably off this character that we're going to meet with. So they've got all this plans with all what they're going to do, and the guy walks in, and the shadowy figure walks up and sits down, and they get talking, and he does something, and the shadowy figure does something else. And he goes, you can't do that. And I go, yeah, he just did this. And he goes, you can't do that. The rules don't allow that. And so I actually pull player's handbook, and I open up this thing, the spell, and I go, this is what he did.
Right.
And he goes, oh my God, that character's at least 8 levels higher than I am.
Right.
And all the party is outside waiting for the signal to attack.
Right.
And he's going, okay, I got to go tell them, no, don't do this. He can probably off us with no problem. That was hilarious to me, because suddenly the guy realizes this guy just cast routine. Well, he did a feat, I think it was, that was 8 levels higher than their highest character could do. And he goes, he just did that like it was nothing, which to him it really wasn't. And he goes, I don't think we want to attack him, but I've got to. Everybody's waiting for the signal to attack. And he goes, we'll all die.
Yeah.
And it's fun when they suddenly realize, and I think that's, like I said, where a lot of the player characters think that they're superheroes, that they're invulnerable. And you see that. That's why there was one Facebook posting on one of the Facebook groups about, I just killed my first character.
Oh yeah, I know that. I know the one you're talking about.
And I just going, you just killed your first character. So what? I mean, it's and. I get, I get it. It's funny. I think there's two things that, like, it took me a while, because when I re-entered gaming, I was like, what the heck are you talking about? You just killed your first character, and people were crying. And I think it's part of the emphasis on like early character investment, like it's part of it. I think though is it takes so damn long to make a character, because we roll 3d6 and boom, done. Okay. Yeah, you're done. You maybe figure, well, okay, I did. My background, because where I was at, when I was in Salt Lake, living in Salt Lake, I got wrapped up in a lot of the conventions, the science fiction conventions, and I was doing the gaming at the conventions. And after a lot of period of time, because I'd set up with a lot of new players setting up their characters, I came to the conclusion that it would take an hour.
All right.
When you start with new players, with new characters, it's going to take an hour for them to set up their characters, period. Even if you tell them beforehand, roll up your character and equip it, it's still an hour.
Right, yeah.
And the way I was running the tournaments is I would normally set, like, a game would be 3 hours long, and I'd say that includes your character setup. The characters will be pre-rolled, and will have certain equipment, and you can have other things to do. And you tell the DM when you start. And I was running it with other DM. I would train other DMs to run the adventure. And it was like a stopwatch. You could always see it was always 1 hour for them to set up the characters, no matter what. No matter how well prepared you get them that would take them an hour to just get settled in and figure out what they were doing. And it's the same thing is true with and I saw this thing about playing with a session 0, and I go, yeah, but it's still, it's an hour that you have to set up your characters. It takes a period of time for people to get into the groove and to get set up, to get going with their characters. However, and you just, it's going to take that much time no matter what. And it's, so I know, but that's just figuring out what characters, what attributes you have. But it's now with all the figure out what feats and what, but and still you always have this question of what equipment do I take? And I go, I don't really care.
Yeah, no, I actually saw a great thing. I'm trying to think of who had it. It's going to come to me after the video's over. But a friend of mine had this thing at a convention, and he had these standard character kits, like and equipment kits, and they were all like little cards. They were like almost like business cards, and I was like, it was awesome. Boom, there you had them, and you're done. You're ready to roll. The funny thing is, the other thing I noticed, with the whole reluctance to kill characters is I think sometimes the games themselves set that up now, like because when I started playing, basic, BX, I mean, you died at 0 hit points. It was easy to die. Boom, and I don't want to say first edition. First edition kind of set up the inflation, like looking back on it now with the benefit of hindsight, because all of a sudden, like going 3d6 wasn't exactly the best thing in the world to do, because you needed some pretty high scores, if you wanted to get the bonuses. But then, as when I came back and looked at say like Pathfinder, which is 3rd edition, which arguably, it's not legally 3rd edition, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like you've got it's so hard to die already, and I think the games just kind of set that up that it's hard to kill a character. So and it doesn't. I'm not just talking about D&D. There's a whole bunch of games where it's just really hard to die, and so people kind of got used to that. The neat thing about my friend Runeslinger turned me on to these Ubiquity games. They're lethal. Like you don't want to screw around because you'll be dead. They have a health stat, and it's the names of the attributes are different, but they've got the same 6 stats.
Yeah.
But your what would be your hit points is equal to what your constitution and your wisdom, your willpower.
Yeah.
That's it. They never go up. And you can get better at and your defense score, like your armor class doesn't go up. If you get better armor, that's great, but there's not this big inflation. So even though the characters become more powerful, they're more skilled at stuff, including combat. Like there's not this time where like you're this superhero. If you go into a mob of angry villagers, they're gonna kill you. Like you better be like the town. If you like you said in your video, if you piss the town guard off, I don't care who you are. When 12 guys show up, you're gonna die.
That's right. And it was like I watched. What was it? The one guy talking about being swatted.
Right.
And you go, yeah. It's like if the SWAT team comes breaking down your door, you let them in and put your hands up and move very slowly and do whatever they say, because you ain't gonna win. You're not gonna win. But and what was, I guess what made it sort of interesting was when I was running. I had a person who was playing in when I ran it with both 4th edition and with 5th edition, and she's an interesting player, but she doesn't play the way she should. And what I mean by that is, so she has either a wizard or a sorceress, and she goes up to the front of the melee and is attacking with daggers and things like that. And I'm going, you don't do that. You stay in the back. But no. Every combat, she will deliberately head up into the front of the melee and attack in hand-to-hand combat. And we're going, you really should play maybe a different kind of character. No, I like. So she would die. She would go to 0, and seeing how hard it is to kill a character, because she would go to 0 hit points and they'd drag the body back and stabilize it, and while the combat is going on, and various things like that, and heal her, and then she'd go back and do it again. And you go, and the party is trying to tell, as a DM, I'm going, are you really sure you want to do that? Yes, I do. And they're going, no. So she'd go in there. That was the one where I hadn't seen anybody resurrected in a while, where she actually died, and they resurrected her on the spot because somebody had a high level spell, because she was just dying. I enjoyed the games, but she was just a little bit. She should have, and everybody, and she, I think, finally acknowledged, maybe she, but it was her kind of play. They said you really should play a battle mage or something else, rather than, in essence, the way you play doesn't suit that particular kind of character. That kind of class. You should be, a wizard shouldn't be charging into melee.
Yeah, not so much. I don't know. I think too. I avoid those discussions now. Like when that discussion came up on Facebook, about the kill, I refrained from the commenting, because I learned my lesson about that a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
But I think what happens too is that over time, like, the games have protected people from their idiotic decisions. Like, the fact that, like, she was able to, not die for real for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Then you say, well, you shouldn't do that, it's dangerous. She goes, well, what do you mean? I'm okay. They keep dragging my body away. I'm all right.
So, we would do that. We'd do the rolls, and you have to. It is so hard to die, because we to really die, because you get it. At least it was in 4th edition and in 5th, both of them. And I remember there was one where it was finally. I said what was it? The creatures. She'd went to 0, and she's there, and there's the rule that creature can do a coup de grace.
Right.
And I said, you attack this creature. You attacked this creature. It had not attacked anyone, and you attacked this one. So when you went to 0 hit points, it coup de grace you, and that was how she died. That was, right. And I go, because if it had not been, that this creature had not been hit until you hit it, and so it was a little bit irritated at that, and so then it offed you, and because I go, I got to do that, because you rather than attack somebody else in the party, you sort of irritated this creature. I actually rolled to see if it would, and I rolled terrible, but what happens is that players sometimes play strange type of things. I've had I had one character who basically, he knew that if he did something, he would get, I'm pretty sure he knew he would die, because the guy can't play. He rolled up a new character, and I'm not sure why he wanted that character to die. I mean, just what, I've had other players just say, okay, I'm retiring this character and starting a different one because I don't like this character anymore, and started a new one. But the guy basically commits suicide with his character. He knew if he did that, he would be offed, and he was. And I'm going, I don't understand why sometimes. Yeah,
that annoys me.
Yeah.
I've had that happen. But yeah, that was we learned the wisdom of having a henchman, because when you died, you start playing your henchman right away. And I tell you, the cool thing was, that you make sure he hires a henchman. But the cool thing is, you got to play these guys, because in most of the games I played, you started at first level. I didn't care what the party was, and because with the XP, the way it works, you level right up, But the henchmen that I usually had, they were when my guy was 7th level and bit the dust, the henchman was already 4th level. He was getting half XP, but so I was already kind of invested in that guy too.
Yeah. So it's so I don't know how long you wanted to go tonight, because I think
I got to quit pretty soon.
I got to quit pretty soon, yeah. But I just thought I'd want to see how we do this, and then maybe do some others down the road and talk about some things. But it was just wanted to you know, maybe just, you know, chat for a little bit and see what was going on, and, you know, do some. I really do need to get back and get a game or two going. I was running for a while. I was running 2 games a week, and that was okay, but
Yeah.
it's just a little intense. One of them was very adult. I had one that was some players wanted to play, shall we say, more risque. So,
Yeah.
so the Lamentations of the Flame Princess. So that one is that one of the more risque, or
It's not. The art, it gets a bad rap because of the art, and also, I mean, James Raggi, who like wrote it, is he's a rather I'm trying to think of the colorful person. Like, he's cool. Like, I love what he did to the game, because, you know, a lot of the places where the game was a little wacky, he fixed it. And it has kind of like this horror vibe to it, but you don't necessarily need to play it that way.
Oh, okay.
So it's you know, because I don't know, like, it kind of gets a bad rap, but and you can certainly it does, and, you know, the way the book's written, it's written with a bit of flavor too. So as you read it, you're like, you're kind of creeped out. But if you look at it, if you look beneath that veneer, you're like, oh, this is BXD&D. It does have some different things. Like, the cool thing is there's a spell. This is the whole shtick why my wizard was who he was, or, you know, one of the reasons. Then I got to get going. But there's this the spell, like summoning, I think, is, you know, what's called, like, you summon a demon.
Yeah.
First level spell. So the deal is, I mean, there's this big giant table of what the demon actually is when it shows up, and, you know, all kinds of different, you know, it looks like something Gary Gygax should have made, like 7 pages worth of, like, you know, percentile rolls and everything. The deal is, the higher level you are, the higher level demon you can summon, but you don't really have a control over it. It's still a die roll, and it could be very powerful. But then what happens is you have to make an opposed roll with this thing, and you know, the more powerful it is, the more modifiers it gets to add. And it's just a D20 roll. Like, whoever rolls highest wins. If you roll significantly higher than it does, it'll have to serve you for longer. And if you roll really higher, like, you know, your margin is much greater, it will serve you for life. So, of course, that's what I want, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want the rock grub spreader, but I just want it to be a demon, you know. But if the margin is the other way, it will either, like, go on a killing rampage, or it will take you and condemn your soul to hell, and you'll never die. You'll just be in eternal torment. But here's the kicker. You know, this is where like the flavor of the game creeps into some of the places, because it's not everywhere, you know. But so how you can modify your die roll is either you spend a lot of money on, like, the magic circle and all the little, you know, the shtick, the usual, you know, tropes of summoning a demon. The more money you spend, the more elaborate this is, the more points you get to add to your roll. Or if you want to do it on the cheap, you need sacrifices. And if they're the same race as you are, you get to add, like, you know, I forget, I think you get to add 1 per hit die of sacrifices. You roll. So what you need is a bunch, and they have to be helpless. It's not combat. They have to be bound, you know. So what you need is a bunch of helpless people tied up that you can then sacrifice. So that was my idea. So I started giving to all the local orphanages, and becoming like, because I was preparing for that moment where I could invite them over for, like, a puppet show or something, and then close the doors, and, you know, that was and he died, thankfully, before that. But I was setting that up for, like, a year and a half, because here it is, it's a first level spell, but it's really, it can be really dark. But you don't need to play it that way.
Yeah. If you want to read a fun book, look up Sprague de Camp's The Fallible Fiend. You're talking about summoning. You gotta read that one, and because that one it's about that, basically summoning a demon, and the demon is, shall we say, fallible, or very literal. He does literally what you tell him to do. Doesn't have any sense of imagination or anything like that. You tell him to do something, he will literally do it. It's a humorous read. The Fallible Fiend by Sprague de Camp. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it. I'll have to check it out. I know I haven't read it.
Yeah, it's that one's there. I gotta go see what's going on with dinner and such. So.
Oh, me too. I got dinner waiting for me myself. So it's been good talking to you, man.